Good morning, Minister Monsev, Minister Scott, Chair Jones, Chair Robinson, Chair Tarian, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Pine. I'm the CAO of the County of Hastings, and it's my pleasure to welcome all of you to this virtual news conference on behalf of the Eastern Ontario Regional Network. We're coming to you today from the territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Huron-Wendat peoples. We acknowledge our shared obligation to respect, honor, and sustain these lands and the natural resources contained within. I'd like to now call on the Eastern Ontario Regional Network Chair, J. Murray Jones, to begin the event. J. Murray.
Thank you very much, Jim, and welcome to everyone who's joining us today. You know, I think we have an urgent need for a great big drum roll today because you can't beat the news that we're going to be giving you. You know, the Eastern Ontario Regional Network was created by rural municipalities to drive greater connectivity across our region. And we knew that we could accomplish far more and be way more efficient if we all worked together. With the support of the federal and the provincial governments and municipalities across rural Eastern Ontario, last year, we launched a competitive bidding process to address the critical problem of poor cell service in our region, something I think we can all relate to. This is where the drum roll comes in. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to announce that Rogers Communications has been selected as our partner for this project. Great news. Rogers has put forth a comprehensive solution that will deliver improved cell coverage and cell quality for our residents, our businesses, and our visitors. Rogers' investment is more than $150 million, and it demonstrates a strong commitment to our region. And combined with the 3 levels of government funding, it brings the total value of this project to $300 million. We appreciate that they see our potential and that they're helping us to unlock it. They're preparing us for a bright future with the newest generation of technology, and that can support today's needs, and don't forget about tomorrow's opportunities. This project is only made possible through the cooperation and the investment of all levels of government. I want to thank the federal and provincial governments for their encouragement and for their wonderful, wonderful support, and for seeing the value of public investment in this critical infrastructure. We're so glad that they're here with us today for this very important launch. I want to thank my colleagues in the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus who have given us their unwavering support over the years to get this project off the ground. We appreciate the support from those members of the Eastern Ontario Mayor's Caucus who contributed to this project. These leaders recognize the power of regional cooperation to make all of our communities even stronger. EORN is also committed to working with our region's Indigenous communities. With this contract in place, we will continue with our consultations to ensure the project reflects the community's needs. And lastly, and certainly not least, I want to thank Rogers for exceeding our expectations and investing more than we even hoped for to improve the reach and the quality of cell coverage in our region. We'll now show you a brief video about the project and the impact that it has. And then you'll hear from Minister Monsef, Minister Scott, Warden Debbie Robinson, Chair of the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus, and Mayor Diane Terrian, who's the Chair of the Eastern Ontario Mayor's Caucus, and Dean Preville of Rogers Communications. Some wonderful people who have joined together for all the right reasons. We'll then close with a blessing by David Simpson of the Alderville First Nation. And then a brief Q&A for the media will follow the proceedings. I want to thank you all very much. This is great news. Let's roll the video right now.
We live in a connected world. Strong, reliable cell service is important for our work, safety, and quality of life. That's why the Eastern Ontario Regional Network was created to bridge the digital divide and support a stronger future for our communities. We worked with all levels of government to forge a public-private partnership. It aims to improve cellular service, support economic growth, and keep our communities moving forward. The federal and provincial governments have each committed $71 million to this joint venture. The Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus and most of the Eastern Ontario Mayor's Caucus contributed an additional $10 million in municipal funding. Working in partnership with Rogers Communications, this initiative will invest more than $300 million to close gaps in cell coverage.
It's very exciting for us to know that Eastern Ontario is now going to have the ability to, what we would say, be more productive in all areas.
It's just part of your life now. Technology, even in the dairy industry, has changed. You can do precision planting, precision fertilizing, precision spraying. which is important to the environment and to your pocketbook.
By 2025, this partnership will deliver reliable cellular connectivity to 99% of Eastern Ontario, where there are homes, businesses, and major roads. At least 95% will have coverage for video streaming, video calls, and most smartphone apps. And at least 85% will have coverage for high-definition video streaming.
Almost everything we do now is digital. When we get improved cell coverage, which in our area, cell coverage also means internet in most cases, we waste way less time just transferring files from our desks or our office to wherever they need to go and receiving those files. It'd be way easier attracting young talent, and we'd be able to give people the flexibility to work from home 1 or 2 days a week or when it made sense to do so.
Over the next decade, we will see the positive impacts of this improved connectivity. The Cell Gap project has the potential to create more than 3,000 jobs and spur $420 million in local economic growth. Cell service is critical to improving public safety. With strong cell coverage, people can get help when they need it and in emergencies. It also helps emergency responders communicate with one another in rural areas, providing help when it's needed most.
Cell service is extremely important for us. We're dealing with life and death situations every day. Paramedics are making critical decisions every moment. We use cell coverage not only for phone and our ability to connect with other healthcare providers, but we also do a lot of telemedicine, remote patient monitoring. We're one of a few paramedic services in Canada that are certified to operate drones for search and rescue, for medical emergencies, for situational awareness. So we had to land with a defibrillator attached next to a patient. A lot of times we'll lose connectivity through the trees. So looking at doing experiments with cellular technology where the drone will actually switch over onto a cellular network, and then that way you have that level of connectivity in order to land the drone safely.
Our roads will be safer, with improved coverage across nearly 11,000 kilometers of major roadways. Rogers is committed to making more possible, and they are proud to serve the 113 municipalities and Indigenous communities of Eastern Ontario, joining us to Canada's largest and most reliable 5G network. Rogers employees live, work, and spend time in the region, so they understand how important it is to have reliable, connected infrastructure. They are committed to working with us for a safer, more prosperous, and connected future.
But if we can do what we do now, could you imagine what we can accomplish when we've got reliability, we've got the speed behind us, and we can all be connected, implement automation and robotics, and have a better skilled workforce?
We know Eastern Ontario can only thrive if its residents have the tools to succeed. A connected Eastern Ontario is a stronger Eastern Ontario.
We're ready. We're absolutely ready.
I'd now like to introduce the Honorable Miriam Monsef, Minister of Women and Gender Equality and Rural Economic Development. We're so pleased that Minister Monsef could join us today. She's one of our own, representing the riding of Peterborough-Kawartha. Minister Monsef is joining us from Peterborough. Minister.
Thank you so much, Jim Pine. Hello, everybody. Bonjour, Anin, salam alaikum. It's wonderful to see J. Murray Jones in his element. It's great to be with you, Minister Scott, and wonderful to see you, Mayor Therrien. Elder Dave Simpson, it's good to see you. And Chair Robinson, thank you for the good work you're doing to keep this important project and this important region moving forward. Mayor Therrien and I are just coming back from the Elders Gathering I've held virtually this year for the 45th year. This thing has been happening for 45 years. Trent has been bringing together elders and knowledge seekers from across the country. But of course, because of the pandemic, we couldn't all get together at Trent University this year and to hear from elders and to hear the teachings that can so very much help shape our understanding of what's happening right now and think about a better future ahead. That virtual gathering was another reminder of how vital our connections are. This pandemic has forced us to keep a distance from those we love in an effort to protect them. And as Andy Mitchell says, what a cruel disease it is. That makes our connections through the internet, through the telephone, that much more vital. And we're here today to celebrate progress. Progress that has been made possible only because we came together as a region and we planted seeds years ago that will benefit us today and into the future. When Kim Rudd, Mike Bossio, Neil Ellis, Francis Struen, and myself first got elected, one of the first meetings we had was, of course, with J. Marie Jones and Andy Mitchell and their crew at the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus. J. Marie Jones is, an effective advocate, but for this project, it seemed like his entire heart was in it. And they were able to very quickly make the business case and the social and the equity case for why this project made sense for our community. And, with all the sacrifices that have been made, with all the technological advances that have been made during COVID, these connections are that much more vital. Today, we congratulate Rogers for being awarded this very important contract to provide quality coverage and cell service in the region when completed. Homes and businesses in over 100 Eastern Ontario communities will have access to more reliable mobile broadband services. The Government of Canada is pleased to have invested $71 million in the success of this project, and upgrades will begin this spring. This is exciting. It will lead to the creation of some 3,000 jobs, and as you heard in the video, it will unlock potential that exists in small and rural communities in our region. But that's not all. Here in Ontario, the Government of Canada has invested $233 million in investments for 23 connectivity projects, which will connect 33,649 households to better, faster internet. And we're going to continue to make investments like this until every single community is connected to this essential service. It's a matter of health and safety, absolutely, but it's also a matter of productivity, Canada's competitiveness, and economic recovery from the pandemic. I sincerely believe that Canada's recovery begins in rural communities and it begins with rural broadband. The Universal Broadband Fund is going to make further investments with $1.75 billion to connect every Canadian to this essential service. I'm pleased to say that the call for proposals for the Universal Broadband Fund closed this past week, and my team and I are very happily enjoying having our hands full with the various applications and proposals that have come through. Many thanks to those who have applied online. What this investment in the Eastern Ontario Regional Network is going to do for those of us who drive along Highway 7, for example, those dead zones can be deadly when that cell service isn't available. We've heard from Indigenous communities that those cell gaps lead to too many highways of tears, making our daughters particularly vulnerable to tragedies. This investment is the right thing to do. It's the smart thing to do. And as Warden Jones reminded us, it's a really good reminder that we are all in this together, and look at what we can do when we work together. I'm grateful to our colleagues in the provinces, in the province, in the municipalities, and in Indigenous communities, and look forward to many more celebrations like this and collaborations like this. Thank you to everyone who made this possible. Back to you, Jim.
Thank you very much, Minister. It's now my pleasure to hand it over to the Honourable Laurie Scott, Minister of Infrastructure for Ontario. Minister Scott, too, is from Eastern Ontario. We'd like to call her one of our own. And she's joining us from her home in Haliburton County. Minister.
Well, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Jim Pine and your entire team at the Eastern Ontario Regional Network. that we are here today, finally. What a great video that we had, saying how beautiful that East Ontario is. It captures it lovely. And to hear those stories of how it's going to make a difference when we get all connected to their lives. I know J. Mary Jones has already offered to have the first patio celebration party. So Warden Jones, you're on the hook for that. But we all know now more than ever that we need this reliable service to succeed and thrive in today's economy. And, COVID-19 has certainly highlighted the inequality by poor cellular service that exists for many Ontarians. And now that we're all learning and working from home, as you see in the background, and connecting to vital services, vital government services, vital healthcare, connecting just with friends and families. So Eastern Ontario, for example, there are individuals wanting to actually move to our area, which we've all seen since the COVID, but they simply can't without reliable cell service. So not only is unreliable cell service an economic and social issue, it's also a community safety issue, as Minister Monsef has highlighted. Many Eastern Ontario residents are often left struck or stranded without cell service solely because of where we live. And as you all know, I tell stories every day of how that happens to me personally, but also to all of the residents that we have in Eastern Ontario that are challenged. And, I've been elected for the better part of 20 years. And I think I've been fighting all that time to bring reliable cell service to every unserved and underserved community in Ontario. And we cannot wait any longer. And action is required now. And that's why today, many of my colleagues who are on the phone, Minister Steve Clark, Daryl Cramp, Jim McDonnell, David Piccini, David Smith, Minister Todd Smith, and Minister John Yakubuski, many of us were in opposition, telling many stories for, as I said, over a decade. And when we are here today, finally, stepping forward with yet another step in delivering reliable cell service, taken on by EORN, it's a wonderful partnership. And with Rogers Communications coming home, bringing hope and optimism for all the residents of Eastern Ontario, I'm very proud to see our government's investment up to $71 million for EORN's Cell Gap project. It's made a dream of connectivity a reality. And the partnerships here today with everyone collectively, we're going to leverage a total investment of more than $300 million with the partner funding. So, it's incredible work done by EORN, which I've had the privilege of working with since I've been elected. And I know many of the East Ontario Wardens Caucus that are on today and the East Ontario Mayor's Caucus have been advocates for as long as I have been. So I want to thank our federal partners, thank all of those people that I've mentioned, and Rogers for their contributions. I'm going to share a quick story before I wrap up the remarks about Summer, who's a young adult who grew up in the riding of Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes, Brock. And she wrote to me last year and said, "No one on my road has good cell service due to the lack of towers." She says she can see several cell towers in the distance from the road she lives on, but none of them are close enough to reach her home. Summer hopes to get a cell tower closer to home so that she and all her neighbors can get connectivity. Her worries are a true testament to the hardship faced by the residents in Eastern Ontario. And while today's announcement is an important step forward in getting people like Summer connected, our government recognizes that there is still more work that needs to be done. And our government understands that reliable cell service to many communities makes them stronger, healthier, and safer. So while supporting the many economic development numbers that I know that Jim Pine and his team tell me all the time, it truly will make a difference. But we, have stepped up in the province of Ontario and put $1 billion on the table to make connection a reality. And we're going to remain committed to get more people connected. And I think that not only do I speak of this topic every day, just a few weeks ago, my colleagues and I introduced some legislation that I know all of us worked on to bring down some more barriers and collaboratively get this done as fast as we can. So together, we're all building a stronger Ontario. And I just can't thank everyone on Zoom today for this wonderful announcement that we're finally getting there.
Thank you very much, Minister Scott, and thank you for your sustained and ongoing support for this project and for other projects across our region and, of course, across the province. You know, municipal governments across Eastern Ontario have played a really critical role in advocating for this project and providing a municipal share of the funding. So it gives me great pleasure to ask our Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus Chair, Debbie Robinson, to say a few words. Chair Robinson.
Thank you, Jim, and good morning, everyone. What a fantastic Friday. You know, watching the video, I just realized this is really happening for Eastern Ontario. It's a good day. So on behalf of the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus, I am pleased to join you virtually today from Renfrew County, where I serve as warden. Eastern Ontario has long believed in partnership. The Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus brings together 11 upper-tier municipalities and 2 single tiers to advocate on behalf of 750,000 residents. We work in collaboration with one another, with other orders of government, to make this region a great place to live, to work, and to visit. Improving connectivity has been one of our top priorities for a long time. And this past year has shown us just how critical good, reliable connectivity is to our success and to our well-being. We are thrilled to join EORN in launching the partnership with Rogers Communications to improve cell service. I'd like to thank the federal and provincial governments for their support. I'm so thrilled to be here today with Minister Scott and Minister Monsef. I'd also like to thank Rogers Communications and Mr. Provo for coming to the table with a far-reaching solution that will help our region to keep up with the growing demand for cell calling and data services. While we initiated the project well before COVID-19, we know it will be key for the region's economic recovery and to improve quality of life and public safety for all of our communities. We congratulate EORN and Rogers' team for the hard work you've already done to plan this project. We're getting closer to a time when we will never have to utter those 5 dreaded words. Can you hear me now? And we couldn't be more excited. We're looking forward to the years ahead as we get better and more reliable cell coverage, whether we're at home, at work, or on the road. Thank you very much. It is my absolute pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you very much, Chair Robinson. You know, in addition to the EOWC, the project has the support of most members of the Eastern Ontario Mayor's Caucus, which is chaired by Mayor Diane Therrien of the City of Peterborough. I'd now like to welcome Mayor Therrien, who's in Peterborough, to say a few words. Mayor Therrien.
Thank you very much, Jim. I am indeed in Peterborough on Williams Treaty territory, on Anishinaabe territory. So grateful to be here with you today. When you say most of the members of the Eastern Ontario Mayor's Caucus, Peterborough wasn't one of them until recently. So I'm very glad that we're at the table now. I'm very grateful to have been elected chair of the Eastern Ontario Mayor's Caucus. Through my work at the Eastern Ontario Leadership Council as well, I've had the opportunity to learn a lot about this project over the last couple of years. And I wanted to say thank you to Jim, as well as a special shout out to Lisa and David for the ongoing extensive work that they do behind the scenes. The manner in which they keep the City of Peterborough, as well as the Eastern Ontario Mayor and Leadership Council updated, has been so key. And particularly for the City of Peterborough, having that knowledge about what this project is has helped this council come on board to support it. And thank you to Warden Jones and Warden Robinson for your leadership on this as well. It's very exciting. It's something that has been a long time coming, and so we are very happy to hear about it. I know that in the City of Peterborough, we don't experience all of the same issues that some of our Eastern Ontario neighbors do, but certainly what's good for one of us is good for all of us. And as the warden likes to say, we are all in this together. And so very happy to be here supporting it on behalf of the Eastern Ontario Mayor's Caucus. Thanks so much, and back over to you, Jim.
Thank you very much, Mayor Therrien. Now, Jay, maybe this is where we need another little drum roll. I'd really like, I'm pleased to introduce from Rogers Communications, Dean Prevost, who is the president of Connected Homes and Rogers for Business. Dean, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Jim. That's such a nice introduction. I got to tell you, just beautiful words from everyone and an amazing day. And I'm so proud to be here. So thank you, Minister Monsef, Minister Scott, the members of the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus, the members of the Eastern Ontario Mayor's Caucus, and of course, the Eastern Ontario Regional Network for having me here today. So proud. About a year ago, we learned about the opportunity to bid on a very unique public-private partnership to improve wireless connectivity in Eastern Ontario, the so-called Cell Gap project. Hopefully those words as well are never said again. The people of Eastern Ontario needed dependable connectivity in ways that many people take for granted, like the ability to make a call from a highway or deposit a check through online banking. And at Rogers, we understand that this is no longer a nice to have. It's a need to have. Frankly, it's a must have. Rogers came to the bidding process as a company that was actually founded here in Ontario, and we're committed to doing our part to eradicate the rural divide in this province. We also brought with us a very passionate team, driven by the unified vision of helping Canadians to be connected where they need it and when they need it the most, backed by our world-class network. So we immersed ourselves into understanding the realities of this cellular gap in Eastern Ontario and the challenges local residences and businesses were living with every day. Then we set about figuring out how Rogers was uniquely positioned to solve these challenges as an Ontario-based telecommunications company. And frankly, this year more than ever, we all understand the value of a connection and the need to stay connected with each other. We put it all on the table, our network capabilities, our leadership in 5G, the fact that we could finally offer choice to the folks of Eastern Ontario. We brought local solutions backed by the strength of a very large organization. And that's the approach we will continue to take going forward as we get launched. We were thrilled, just absolutely thrilled to learn that we had won the bid. And one of the first things we talked about as a team is how we need to work even more closely with the community as we transition into executing this tremendous, tremendous project. Our focus is to build true local partnerships as we bring this project to life over the next 5 years and beyond. And as I said, I just couldn't be more excited to get started. I'd really like to thank, on behalf of myself and all of Rogers, our partners in the public sector for trusting us with this important task of delivering improved cellular services to the 113 municipalities and Indigenous communities of Eastern Ontario and the 50,000 kilometers of land that represents. So whether it's an EMS worker attending to an emergency call, a delivery driver making sure the package is delivered on time, or a visitor looking for directions in this beautiful part of the country, we know the work we need to do is going to make more possible. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, President Prevost. I'd now like to introduce Mr. Dave Simpson from the Alderville First Nation, who will close our session with a traditional blessing. Dave?
Excuse me. Thank you very much, Jim. It's good to hear from all the folks here, from Rogers, the ministers, chairs of the caucuses and the wardens. I'm sitting here thinking, and we're talking about cell service and connected, and I remember in our community as a kid, we had the only phone in the community, and people would come to our house. Somebody coming in the yard would come in, and we had the only well for water, drinking water. Maybe not the only one in the community, but the one that was closest. Everybody would come in, and it'd be nothing to see people come in and get water or want to use the phone to make a phone call. And now you hear this word being used over and over again about being connected. I was at a gathering in North Bay a couple of years ago, or maybe not that long ago even. But one of the elders said we are all connected. But he wasn't referring to the people per se, but the land and environment, the air, the water. And we're all connected. We are connected. And this whole thing, this whole project is it's a real exciting project that we're talking about here is very, very crucial. It's no longer a convenience, but a necessity. And so I want to thank Lisa and Jim. I say Lisa and Jim. They're as soon as you mention the EORN, I think about Lisa Severinson and Jim Pine, because we worked closely with them when they were putting fiber in the ground, and we had a real good working relationship. So we do need reliable cell service. And even I'm right, 100 miles east of Toronto, I can be going down the highway and you lose your call going down to the 401 from our community. So it is a necessity. Now, one of the main concerns of our people is the land. We need to take care of the land. If we hurt the land, if we damage the land, we're going to hurt ourselves. So we want to make sure. And this morning I was on a call earlier, again, with a project in Belleville where they're widening the highway going through, and the chief was on the line with me. And he is adamant about wetlands, the frogs, the turtles, the birds. And I was at a meeting in Kingston a couple of years ago, and I just heard on the way down, we've lost, I forget how many billion songbirds over the last few years. And some people wouldn't even know that. I didn't know it until I heard it. But through pesticides and whatever else, we lose the songbirds, we're going to lose something else. And then we're talking about the Cataraqui River. And I said, well, we're all fishing down there now. But one day, people are going to say, well, we used to fish here one time, and now we can't. I don't know what's going wrong. So we really have to look after. We got to look, like our people say, we look ahead 7 generations for our children and our grandchildren and their children. So we have to look ahead, and we can't just be looking right here now, but we do have a responsibility that things are going to be here in the next coming few generations. So one thing to remember, we are all connected. We're not going to connect just by cell service, but we're all connected to the land and the animals, the environment, the water. So we got to look after it. So I want to thank Jim and Lisa. Personally, I don't know anybody else on here, even Marianne Montz out there from Trent. You talk about Trent. I went to Trent there. I was one of the oldest people in their school. I went back to Trent University for a Bachelor of Arts degree, and I attended the elders conferences and all the new things that went on up there. So let me say a blessing for the land, for each one here on the call today. So Great Spirit, Creator, we ask your blessing on each person that's on here, each person that's part of this group, part of this working group that's bringing this all together. We pray for the land, that we would not abuse the land, but we would be responsible for what you've given us. So we ask this, Creator, in your name, Chimigwach. And Chimigwach is big, big thank you. Okay? That's Chimigwach. That's your one Ojibwe word for today. Thank you. Thanks, Jim.
Dave, thank you so much. You are a great friend to EORN. We've learned so much from you in the years past, and we know that we're going to learn so much more as we go forward with you and your community and the other Indigenous communities across our region. Dave, thanks very much for being a part of our celebration today. We very much appreciate it. We're now going to go to some questions from the media. And joining us for this particular part of the day is the Chief Executive Officer for EORN, David Fell. So we're going to go to media questions starting now. First question.
Thank you. A reminder for the media on the teleconference line to press *1 if you have a question. Please go ahead and press *1 if you have a question. And your first question will be from Joel Kovac at The Examiner. Please go ahead.
Can you hear me? I've just tried to unmute. Yes?
Go ahead, Joelle.
Okay, great. You can hear me. Wonderful. Okay, so what I'm wondering is when I understand that the construction of this expanded service is supposed to take place, I think, over 5 years, I just heard. When's that going to start, and what's it going to encompass? I imagine cell towers and underground fiber, maybe. I don't know. Could you expand a little on exactly what the infrastructure will look like and when that construction will start?
Thanks very much, Joelle. I think I'll turn it over to David and maybe Dean.
Thanks, Jim. We're very excited about getting the project started as soon as possible, and we've been working closely with our colleagues at Rogers, and maybe I'll ask Dean to comment on that.
Thanks, David. Yes. We're going to start right away. So there's two core elements of the rollout. There's an uplift of 5G capabilities, which will give us speed, capacity, and coverage on existing towers, of which there's approximately 300 towers that we can start on right away. We're also going to need another 350 new towers to expand the network far further than it's ever been before to cover those spaces that we've been talking all about here today. That will also start right away, but as you might imagine, towers are a relatively large construction project and they will take a little longer to get in place, and they'll roll out. And as they roll out, we'll turn them on right away. So what it means is by the end of the year, folks in Eastern Ontario will see an improvement. There will be service improvement by the end of this year, but it will take us into 2025 to build out the full range of added towers to cover this huge space.
Thank you, Dean. We have a next question.
That was a tremendous answer. That's exactly what I needed, and I wonder if there's anyone else on the line who'd like to ask. Thank you.
Next question is from Joseph Quigley at the Highlander. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Minister Scott and Minister Monsef, you both mentioned other investments your governments are making towards connectivity. EORN submitted a proposal for $1.2 to $1.6 billion ultra-fast gig internet project for the region earlier this month. Just wondering where that is at with your respective offices.
Minister.
Joseph, thanks very much for the question. And I had mentioned earlier in the comments that we are working on a plan for the whole province of Ontario. And as I mentioned, the $1 billion we put on the table, I always will say to Minister Monsef, if you give us more, we can build it faster. But working with our joint members across the province, our commitment is to connect people as fast as possible. So I would say stay tuned for more information. As I said, we did the up to speed plan when I first got in as the minister, and EORN is the recipient of one part of that plan. We then added more money to get us up to the $1 billion that we can connect. And then, as we've all discussed, I feel like everyone on the screen is almost family, how much we talk to each other, but what other barriers were there? And that is why the regulatory framework came in 2 weeks ago that, if passed, would actually decrease barriers and help today Rogers build those towers faster, upgrade those towers faster. And so it's all continuing in progress, and I certainly continue to work with my federal colleague, Minister Monsef, on advancing our connections and bringing us all up to speed as fast as we can. So thank you, Rogers, today for your incredible investment for this cell gap service.
I will say I agree. It's all hands on deck. This project to connect every Canadian to this essential service requires us all to work, all hands on deck. And EORN was actually the first stakeholder meeting I took when I first got the job as the Rural Economic Development Minister, again, because J. Murray Jones and Andy Mitchell are quite persuasive. And it was in that conversation that the idea of hexagon model needing to be replaced with something more precise came up. So we've been in regular conversations with EORN since the very beginning. I appreciate also that they have very strong connections with other members of parliament like Francis Drouin and Neil Ellis. Those colleagues, along with my own team at ISED, are in regular conversation with EORN. We're taking their proposal very seriously, and we will have news about the rapid response stream of the Universal Broadband Fund very soon. And as we sort through the applications that have come forward, we will have more news about that as well. And of course, as Minister Scott said, we're going to be working together on this because we have to. Our communities are counting on us, and there is immense economic potential to be unleashed, and of course, greater equity to be achieved in our region through that partnership.
Thank you, ministers. Thank you. Next question.
Follow up, Joseph?
That's fine.
Next question will be from James Morgan at The Review. Please go ahead.
Yes, hello. I'm interested to know if the work will begin in one area or it will begin in all areas of Eastern Ontario. I'm assuming this spring. Will certain regions be prioritized over others?
Thank you. I think that's a question I might direct to Dean again. Is that okay, Dean?
You bet. Sure it is, Jim. Thank you. And James, great question. There is, I have to admit, I know a lot of the facts about the projects. I can't recall the exact rollout schedule as you asked me. We could absolutely follow up with you offline. But as I said in the earlier answer, the immediate, literally day one activity is take those 300 plus towers that exist and ensure they've got better coverage, better reach, and a 5G uplift that will go on. And that we can actually accomplish reasonably broadly across the region. When we move to build towers, we tend to do those more clustered together so that we can use construction, development, deployment teams more uniquely tied together. So I just can't recall off the top of my head where the immediate build is going. And of course, some of that will involve consultation and obviously work with the tremendous EORN team. But if we could follow up offline, I'll give you a better, once I get the information, I'll give you a better answer on that. And by the way, if I might say just for a second, we're just so delighted about all of these programs. It's so amazing that EORN is first out of the blocks and so substantial. But what's happening with Universal Broadband Fund, you'll see that we are a very large we have very large proposals in there, hoping to bring exactly what we're doing here to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of more Canadians than on top of this. And we are delighted for the support in making access to infrastructure, Minister Scott, easier. It'll help us move faster. It'll help lower the costs. It's just a win-win, beneficial to everyone. So a deep thank you from Team Rogers for all that you're both doing. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Dean. Are there any more questions?
Follow up, James?
No, that's good. Thank you.
Next question will be from Sam Hoopt at Global News. Please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much, and good afternoon. I just wanted to ask, with skeptics surrounding even the notion of 5G becoming more and more vocal, have you faced or do you foresee any challenges gaining public support of the Cell Gap project?
Thanks very much for that question. I think I'm going to ask Dean and perhaps David if they want to do that, and there's others.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Jim. Listen, I don't want to be too blunt, but the skepticism or concern is very ill-placed, honestly. We've been offering cell services now for 35 years, and there is an enormous amount of research that surrounds it, quite conclusively stating that it's safe, as we are all users of it. There is also an enormous amount of regulation that surrounds the deployment of anything that uses radio waves, anything that uses electromagnetic signals. And essentially what we're using here are the same radios waves that we've all been using for historically television services, AM and FM radio. And that's what we use to carry the signals that empower the devices we use. So while I understand the concerns, the facts and the science are quite clear. This is safe and it's extraordinarily beneficial to the way that we live, the way that we work, and the way that we go to school, and creates a safe connectivity for us that is needed. So we'll do it with all of that in mind as we deploy, but the residents of Eastern Ontario can sleep at night knowing this is a very, very safe thing that we do.
Thank you, Dean. David?
And Jim, if I can just add, we appreciate the transparency and the commitment to safety that Rogers brings to the project. EORN understands that some people, do have questions. And so we've pulled together a resource guide on 5G with references to all kinds of safety standards. And that's available on our website, and it will be distributed through all our municipal partners. So,
thank you, David. Next question.
Follow up, Sam?
No, that's all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question will be from Wayne Lowry, Post Media. Please go ahead.
Yes. Hi. I'm here in Brockville. So I understand the obvious benefits to rural areas that don't have good cell service right now. But will urban areas or small towns that already have adequate or good cell service, will they benefit from this project?
Thanks very much, Wayne. I think, again, if I can, I'm going to go to David and to Dean. They're ready to talk about this one.
You bet. Thank you. Thank you, Wayne. Absolutely. So the deployment of 5G capabilities will bring to rural, but also to small towns and to larger cities, a huge capability in terms of reach, a larger capacity in terms of the data that we can carry. And also it creates a lower latency environment, which what that means technically actually was talked about a little bit in the video, is the applications for business, which are really the Internet of Things, connecting devices so that they can speak to each other with high speed capabilities, almost as if they were connected by a physical fiber. That's what the prospect of 5G brings. So for industrial uses, for uses in warehouses, and of course, all of the classic services that we've talked about here. So it's as much for business, municipalities, and towns as it is for this incredible reach extension we're going to do with the 350 new towers to a whole part of communities that haven't been served to date. So it's a win-win for both.
Thanks, Dean. David.
Absolutely, and I just want to echo Dean's words. We know in separated cities, they might have, I live in Peterborough, they might have coverage and they might be able to make a cell call. But I know I've talked to Mayor Terry, and a couple kilometers from City Hall downtown, you can make a call, but you can't log into your banking app and do online transactions. So this project is really going to enhance the capacity of the network, both in small towns and rural areas, and in cities like Peterborough and Kingston and Belleville and others that have been great partners along with EORN.
Thanks, David. Is there another question?
Follow up, Wayne?
Yes, you mentioned the communities that have been great partners with EORN. There are some members of cities in Eastern Ontario that haven't joined this project, and I'm thinking here specifically of Brockville, but I assume there are others. Will they benefit from this project, or is there some way that you can circumvent them and not allow them access to the 5G? Just what is the position on that issue?
Thanks very much, Wayne. I'm going to ask David Fell. I'm not ignoring everybody else, but I just know David can take this call.
Thanks,
David.
Jim. Yeah, and thanks for the question. I mean, we're not trying to isolate anyone. It always has been a voluntary partnership. But what I will say is that we are concentrating the investment of all of our partners into the areas that have financially contributed to the project. And I think that makes the most sense. And we always welcome new partners going forward at any point in time.
Thanks, David. Any other questions?
A final reminder to press star 1 if you have a question. And currently, we have no other questions.
Okay, thank you very much. That is going to wrap up today's news conference. I want to thank everyone who participated and those who have joined to watch the announcement today. Please have a great day and enjoy the great weather and get connected in East Ontario. Thank you very much. Goodbye for now.
Thank you, everyone. I'm on my way to Wilbur.